Hello, this is Maxwell Sweat for aetetsplus.com, and today I'm going to show you how to create this teleport effect. I based this effect off of the Fallen's teleporting from Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. And so in the movie, you see an orange glow and kind of lightning all over him, similar to this. And then he kind of absorbs into a lens flare. So to start with, I imported my footage, which is me doing a funny little jump off to the side, and then I go out of frame to get a clean background. The first thing to do, since the camera operator moved the camera some right when I jumped, I need to track the footage. So we come here to the tracker and stabilize, and there was no rotation on it since it was on a tripod, so I don't need to do the rotation. I'll just track the tree right here and track. Okay, there we go. That looks good. Okay, that looks good. So I'll hit apply, and we don't need this. And that looks good and tracked. Okay, so I want the effect to end or about right here. So we'll duplicate the footage, Control D, and end it right there. And then the next frame over, I'll slide this over till I'm out of the shot, and so we have a clean background. And so I come up here and then disappear, and we can cut off the comp right there. And so we have this, and then I disappear right there. And something else I'm going to do, you'll see why later, I'm going to increase the size of the comp just up till about maybe 1400. So there's a black space all around it, and the footage doesn't go out of it at all. Okay, so the next thing to do is to pre-compose the footage, and I'll name it footage. And this is where we're gonna start adding the effects. First, bring this comp, the teleport comp, down to what it was before. There we go. And that looks good. Okay, and to save some time, I already rotoscoped my outline out using Adobe's Roto Brush tool, which is very useful. I've just started using that more lately, and it saves a whole lot of time. So this is the mat I made. Nope, wrong one. There we go. And you can see, especially down near my feet, it's not very clean, but since this is going to be blurred out quite a bit, it won't matter. So bring that down, and we'll line it up right there. Okay, next we create a new layer, a new solid. It doesn't matter what color, and add a fractal noise effect. Put it below the teleport mat and trim it, wrong one, trim it down till right along there. Yeah. And set this to alpha mat. And now we go up here to the contrast. We pump up the contrast quite a bit till about 280, and then the brightness down to about 15, 16, and then scale it down till it's fairly small, about that much. And then we add a vector blur, CC vector blur. CC vector blur, and bring that up till it looks nice, and we're trying to go for a little bit of a lightning look. Smooth it out. Oh, and change it to add. Okay, that looks really good. Just need to adjust some of these settings. There. And then I add another vector blur to get rid of some of the this kind of feathered edge. There, that looks good. And then we just need a fast blur to feather out the mask just a little bit. And that looks good. And then coming back to the fractal noise, we want to add a, I think it's a time expression to the evolution setting. I use about 2000 to really add some jitter to make it more lightning-like. And that's looking good. Okay, and then I bring down another teleport mat, and this one we want it orange for some glow. So I'll bring a tint effect to it, and then tint the white to a nice orange. There. Change this to add, and add a fast blur. And this one I'm going to bring out quite a bit, and then I'm going to duplicate the layer and bring down the blur to more just around me, and bring down the opacity to about there. And then we need to add a curves effect to the lightning and make this orange. Solo that layer. So bring up the red and bring down the blue. That looks good. There we go. Okay, and so you can already begin to see the lightning-ish look to it. Okay, and then when I made the alpha matte, I also exported a matte of me kind of soloed out of the background. And so I'll bring that down, put it below all the effects. Let me turn off the effects here. And this one will be the layer that I animate me jumping off. And so right when I about leave the ground is when I should take off. So we'll set a keyframe right there, and then right here, right before I disappear, I'll bring it up to about right there. And and then you can see me in the original background. So we need to cut that out. I'll duplicate the footage layer, cut this off right there, and then go to where it's just the blank background. Cut this off there, and so it goes like that. Okay, and then I think I need to adjust the movement. I moved more, wrong one. I move more up than to the side. Okay, that looks good. And then I need to add a Easy Ease keyframe, F9. And that looks good. And then when we get to the end, we can add the motion blur. So, okay, with the position, I'll copy that and paste it to all of these layers. Okay, right there. Whoop. There we go. And so we need to fade in the effect. I faded in the glow before the lightning. So I'll set a keyframes for those. Move them over about right there, and then bring this all the way down to 0. And so the glow will fade on, and then with the lightning, I'll start it about right maybe here. Fade this one in just a little bit faster. And that's looking good. Yeah. Okay. And now I think we add the big lens flare I get absorbed into. And for that, I use the Video Copilot optical flares. We need to create a new layer and bring in the optical flares. And I'll just go through this one really fast. Okay, so basically what I did was add a glow that's very orange, and then a white one, and then I added some kind of shimmer stuff and kind of a hoop artifact right there. Okay, so we'll use that and change it to screen and bring down the brightness down to about 30 or so. And we want it to start right about here. And I tracked it right about to my shoulder. Make the layer start there. And so we set a keyframe for the position and just quickly bring it up to about right. Start it right here. And then we can leave it right there. Okay. And then we'll keyframe the brightness, starting about there. And then right here we get very bright. leave that for about one frame right here. Set a keyframe, and then fade it out over about 3 frames, like that. Let's see, so right about there, since my feet are almost all the way up in it, we can cut all the layers off to right there. To when it starts going out, then we're gone. Then I'm gone. And then okay, so let's see here. So let me do a quick render and see how this looks. And that looks good. Yeah. There. Okay, so I think the only thing we need to add right now is we'll bring in the motion blur. And we'll have the motion blur for all of these layers. Like that. And that looks good. Okay. And now we'll add some smoke and dust. And for this I used, for the dust wave and the smoke, I used Action Essentials 2 by Video Copilot. And so we'll start this dust right when I leave the ground, so that would be about right there. And so we'll just bring this up, and we don't need to worry about feathering the edge or anything for this shot, because I'm going to be cutting off the bottom with the letterboxing anyway. And so that looks good. Maybe scale it up just a little bit. Okay. And then I use the Smoke Charge 9. Bring that down. And for that one, there's a smoke charge, and then this residue smoke right here is what I used. So I'll start it about right there, and I'll cut off the top edge and feather it. There, that looks good. And then we need to speed it up because it was pretty slow. Speed it up maybe like 50%. And that should be good. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, that's a little too slow. Maybe we'll speed it up, maybe let's see, down to 25. There. That'll be good. And maybe we can make it a little bit longer this way. Okay, and so we'll start that just right about when I totally disappear, right about there at the brightest point of the flash, and rotate it just a little bit to match the angle, and change it to screen, and move it over. And so that's looking good. Right there, yeah. Okay, so that will work for that. And then the final thing to do is make the composition a little bit bigger. It doesn't matter how much, just enough to where most of the footage is in the black area. Okay, and then now we'll select everything and pre-compose it. I'll just name this one comp, and there we go. Okay, and then I have this letterboxing right here. It's a 20 or 2.40 letterbox, the standard widescreen. Oh, and then I forgot about, we gotta bring this comp down back to standard. Okay, so that looks good. You can see where it's there's still some black showing, and the reason I made the comps bigger when I pre-composed them was so that when I add the camera shake after, there's still some room on the sides, so I don't have to zoom it in or scale it up as much afterward. I just find that I like having it out as much as possible. I scaled out as much as possible. I don't like to have it scaled in because it lessens the quality. Okay, so we'll bring this one back in, and that's looking good. Okay, and then for the camera shake, I like to use a natural camera shake. I find it looks better than like using a wiggle expression or something. I like the natural look. So what I'll do is bring this footage out. Actually, no, we'll put that into its own comp. And what it is, I was just videoing a wall with some high contrasting edges and just shook the camera just a little bit. And so, okay, we'll add a null object and track motion on the main footage with rotation. And I'll just put this one up here. And there's a lot of motion, so we'll need to scale that up. And put this one down here. And we'll track this. Okay, so that's tracked, and we'll apply the motion to the null object. And we'll copy that null object, come over to our composition and paste it, and then right when I do the jump, we'll right about, let's see, there, right about there. So when you want the motion to start, so we'll bring this null object over right there to where it does the little shake, and that's where we'll start. So we'll parent the footage to the null object, and so now we have some motion. Okay, so you can see right here it moves over quite a bit during the motion. So what I'll do is right about here, I'll set a keyframe for the position of the footage, and right when it goes out here, we'll just move this back over. And it doesn't have to be exact. And then up here, I'm out of the frame, so we'll just bring this down till about right here. And so that looks good. Yeah. And here we can move this over just a little bit too. Okay, so now to cut off the black edges, we only need to scale it up just a little bit till about right there. And yeah, it doesn't move out at all. Okay, so that looks good. Oh, there, it moved out of the shot right there. Okay, so we'll just set a position keyframe right here, and then we can move this back. And it cuts off there, so we need to bring this in about there. Okay, so that looks good. And then we need to turn on the motion blur for the main comp, and then for the color correction, I used the Red Giant, the Magic Bullet Quick Looks. It was a Neo. It called let's see here. Yeah, a Neo. It just kind of adds a green tint, but for this one, I'm just going to add a little bit of contrast with the curves. Let's bring it up. Let's put the curves just up a little bit here and down, and maybe let's change everything, add just a little bit of an orange tint. That one. And a little bit of orange. And then maybe a tint, put that above the curves. And have it just more of like a subtle, let's see, maybe that, no, that looks good right there. And so that looks like it's done. Well, I hope you learned some stuff and enjoyed the tutorial, and we'll see you later.